So, first of all, we're going to go with, let's see, FNAF 4 I would say is definitely the scariest. So that can go at the top here. Least scary. What's the least scary? I can imagine how Wanted in the VR mode is probably pretty scary as well, because like you're in there with them. But I don't think it'd be as scary as FNAF 4. So I'm going to put it there. UCN, I wouldn't say it was that scary, just more frustrating. So I'm going to put it down about here. FNAF 1, wouldn't say it was that scary, would again say it's just more frustrating. But compared to UCN, I would say it's actually slightly scarier. FNAF 2 was again frustrating, almost as much as UCN because of how many things you have to focus on. But I don't think it was actually that scary. But again, more than UCN, but not as much as that. So I'm going to put it like here. So it's like above UCN, below FNAF 1. Pizza Sim was actually pretty scary. Looking from the side vents, not knowing when they're going to like move, when you have to shock them. But definitely nowhere near these two. So I'm going to say about C. This I would say fits right in there because of all the crawling through like the galleries, the breaker room, having to be precise with the buttons. So there's that. FNAF 3. FNAF 3. So there was only one real threat. And again, it was having to keep an eye on so many things at the same time. I would say maybe, let's see, maybe just as scary as FNAF 1. Then Security Breach, I would say wasn't scary at all, because if you were getting jump scared, you saw it from like a mile away, because you would like hear them and see them chasing up behind you. But then again, sometimes they did get me quite a bit going around corners, but I won't say it's enough to put it up here, so I'm going to leave it down there. Ruin, still, again, you could see them pretty much coming. A lot easier than the main game. You could escape more easily, but they did have quite a few moments that got to me. So I'm actually going to put it probably actually maybe in the middle there. And this is it based off my fear. Now, let's see, lore-wise, which game gave the most lore? FNAF 1, it introduced the bite of 87, like it first talked about it in the call. But other than that, there wasn't really too much lore, so I'm going to drop this on the lower end. Well, Ruin gave quite a bit of lore for the Mimic. Introduced the Mimic. And went further below the Pizzaplex, so I'll put that about here. But which came out, FNAF 4 introduced a lot of new lore. The Bite of 83, Fredbear and Friends of the TV show, The Kids. That introduced quite a bit of lore, so I'm going to put it up there again. Sister Location again gave you quite a lot of lore, like you had the secret room, you had Baby, of course. UCN, you did have all the voice lines, which I would say contributed to more on the FNAF 1, but wasn't that much lore. Help Wanted introduced to the whole glitch trap and the whole like AI line, and Vanessa, right? And Vanny. So I would say that's up there with Ruin, along those sort of lines, introducing new things. FNAF 2 was the first one to have mini games showing events. That was pretty important for the beginning for the lore. Even more so, FNAF 3, with it, and excuse you, with like those mini games showing what happened to Purple Guy. Then Pizza Sim, of course, you have the ending, which is like the final conclusion to like the whole Afton era, all of that stuff. So that's, I would say, that's up there as well. Security Breach is like the law. Not many people like know. No one. There's no like definite answer for it yet, but there is still quite a bit to unpack in it. So I'm going to put that about C. And this is it for the law tier list. Now the jump scares. Which game? Now by jump scares I don't necessarily mean like how scary it was, but like how, like, were the jump scares good? Were they just loud noises? Were they just pictures on a screen, or were they actually like animated? Now, obviously, the jump scares were a bit. I actually like them more than most people, I think. But they were a bit, like, the sounds were okay. The sounds have got worse over time. But the pictures though coming onto like the screen weren't that good. Call me nostalgia blind, but I do like the original jump scares. FNAF 2. I'm not even doing the games in order here, I'm just doing a random order each time. FNAF 2, again, they sort of just like jumped. They did it better in Help Wanted with like how they like attacked you. They weren't just like there. I'd say it's better than that. Help Wanted, as I said, I'm gonna make like the jump scares more better animated. So it definitely takes the cake. Let's see. I liked the way these ones were animated. The noises not so much. Probably put it up there. UCN, I would say, probably has the worst jump scares. And it's also really loud with all the things happening at the same time. FNAF 3, I actually really like the jump scares as well. I'll probably put that with Sister Location. FNAF 4, also really good jump scares. In fact, I'd say it takes the top there. Security Breach, not the best jump scares. I would probably say it falls down here. Thinking about it. And then Ruin. Well, Ruin, how many times did I actually get? I think I did actually get jump scared quite a bit. They were better than, because you had what was the main character? Cassie, I want to say. She actually like fought back against them, which is like the first time we've actually kind of seen that. So I'd say it'd probably go about, let's see, maybe there for me. And that is the jump scares. Now, for enjoyability, how much should I actually like enjoy each game? Well, I would say Pizza Sim actually holds a special place in my heart, along with probably Sister Location, because I think those are probably the first two I actually had like a look at and actually played when they released. I also actually really enjoyed Security Breach with like how open it was and you could just wander around. But I did like the being able to wander around quite a bit, whereas Ruin you were like just on a straight path. And obviously the first games you're just stuck in one room. So I did like the openness to it. Which is probably why again I like Sister Location, because you could like move around more. But I wouldn't say, because of like all the bugs, Security Breach probably not as much as Sister Location. Also, Help Wanted I like, because it's like, enjoyability wise, it's got all the first like 3 games. And as I say, it's got all the mini games which I like, so I'm going to put that up at the top as well. But then, let's see, Ruin, I didn't really enjoy the whole straight path much. But, let's see, it did have some fun segments. So maybe E. UCN, UCN. So that's the one, you got all the animatronics, which actually makes it a really fun, unique experience because of how you mix and match them. I would say that's a solid B. FNAF 2. FNAF 2. So they did introduce a few new mechanics, which was cool. But when you look at the difficulty as well, how enjoyable it was, it did become quite frustrating. I'll probably put that there. FNAF 1. You see, it's enjoyable. With like all the, like, you don't know when you're necessarily going to die. It can also be frustrating at times. But yeah, it definitely was one of the more enjoyable. Because you see, once you get in the flow and you get like a strategy working, it's really quite enjoyable. But then just playing over and get over again, once you know the strategy, it is kind of like slow because you're just like sitting, doing the lights, flipping the camera up, flipping the camera down, checking the other light. But I would say I definitely think it's up there at B. 3, I actually really enjoyed as well, but I don't think as much as those lot. I liked the like whole like ventilation, the audio luring, which they actually brought back in Ruin a bit, although it wasn't that useful. It was kind of like the scripted scenes, I feel like. FNAF 4, I enjoyed how much lore they put in it, but it was a struggle. I found it a struggle to beat, but not as much as FNAF 2. So, put it there. And that is the enjoyability done. Now I'm probably going to do it based on the characters. So obviously, which game has my favourite characters? I would say it's actually Pizza Sim. I liked all the characters in that. I think that's where they first like introduced the mediocre melodies. Really, like I liked the bunch of characters in that. Of course, you have Mr. Hippo, you have Trash in the Gang. Love that. Then UCN, it's literally got every character in it. So of course, it has to go there. Well, not every character. There is a few characters missing from the roster. But again, enjoyable characters around. You got Music Man and all of that. But again, they were first introduced in Pizza Sim, I'm pretty sure, like Music Man and all those characters. So I would say it's just below Pizza Sim. Help Wanted again brings in a lot of old characters, but there is a few good ones missing. So I'd put it there. Now, FNAF 3 has got a lack of characters, even though it does introduce Springtrap, which is one of my favourite characters, which I think will raise it just from being at the bottom to about a D. 2, not necessarily my favourite characters, because I don't really like the Withered as much as the original. I do like the toy ones quite a bit though, but then again, toy are probably my least favourite type of animatronic. They're just a bit plain to me, so that's probably going to be down about here. Again, call me nostalgia blind, but I'm going to say love the original characters, so it's going to be a B. Sister Location, I like the characters and the like new reader, more modern design, I guess. The like fun time design, so that's going to go up here for me. FNAF 4. The character designs are actually really cool. The Nightmare, so I'm going to put that again. Probably put a solid B. Now, Security Breach, probably the most realistic if they were to like build them in real life. It's like the most realistic looking character. Like I feel like what they'd actually look like more. Like to make them look like actually like this or this, I feel like would be sort of difficult. But this will like where they're like where they've got that like plastic sort of like toy design to them. So I do like them, but they do have really unique designs as well. Like a whole redo on Chica and Freddy. And I do like the colouring. It's like less plain. Like they've got loads of different colours in there. So I'm going to say C. Now Ruben is just the security keeps characters but a bit broken. But then I do like the like sort of broken, withered away texture to them, funnily enough, more than the withereds here, which I didn't quite like. But again, not the biggest fan of Destroyed, even though I do sort of like them more than Ruin. Probably E. Now, the difficulty of each of the games. So obviously I'd say Ultimate Customer Night has to be the hardest game by far. Yeah, that one's just really hard, pretty much. There's nothing else much to say, like 50 animatronics coming at you at once. I don't actually think many of people have beaten it. Still, I haven't beaten it, obviously. I don't think I even beat a single challenge. That's how hard I found it. FNAF 4 as well, because again, you need like headphones for a lot of the late games for all the sound cues. So like, I'd say this was also quite a difficult one. But then when you play it several times, it does get easier to be. Help Wanted, I would say it's actually quite, probably easier than I was expecting to be, except from that like 1+ trap level. I'm going to put about E. FNAF 1, with that like whole strategy, makes it the easiest. So I'm going to put that at the bottom. FNAF 2, frustrating, and like, because it first introduced all the new mechanics, so it makes it slightly more difficult than a few of the others. But then when you get a strategy down again, it does make it sort of easier. But I still think it's harder than FNAF 4, so we'll drop it there. Pizza Sim, again, got a strategy to it, which makes it pretty simple. So I would say it's about, I wouldn't say it's as simple as FNAF 1, the strategy, where you can basically do nothing on FNAF 1, so slightly harder than FNAF 1. Sister Location. Because of the way it like follows a story, and there's like, there is a few hard parts like the breaker room and the like spring locks, but apart from that, there is like each night individually, there is a simple strat like each night. So I'd say it's pretty easy, probably just on the same level of Help Wanted. FNAF 3, well, as we found out, the first 6 nights you can just trap him in camera 2. So pretty simple from there. But wouldn't say it was as simple as those. So put it about there maybe. Security breach. But with the fact that you can see the animatronics coming straight at you and you get like a chance to run away, you can get into Freddy, you can crouch under things, and with all the bugs as well that help you out, I would say that you probably made it quite easier, which would put it down here about maybe, how easy was it though? Because again, some of the bugs did actually make it quite hard, like the game crashing. So, difficulty. Was it as hard as Help Wanted was? Maybe harder? So, maybe there? Ruin, I would say, because of the following the straightforward story, was actually pretty easy, especially with the weakness of the animatronics. So I'd probably put that about there. So that's my easy score. Now, if we look at, let's see, graphic, which game, I actually think, ignoring the jump scares for this, one, Pizza Sim I think had quite good graphics, especially when you look at like the office and like the like salvaging desk. I think the graphics were pretty good. What else? Well, on max settings, Security Breach and Ruin would have quite good graphics. But if you're being reasonable on like an average system, it was a bit, the graphics weren't so good. Especially if we wanted to be able to run the game without it like lagging loads. So graphics wise, I would say wasn't the best. Ruin was definitely better though. Only crashed once or twice in that one. FNAF 4, amazing like graphics. Looks sort of really kind of realistic. Help Wanted, of course, VR was also quite, a lot of them are actually quite realistic looking. I'll probably put that there. Yeah, a lot of them are actually quite realistic. I wouldn't say UCN was realistic, like with all the stuff in the office. FNAF 2, well, I would say, if you think about it, there probably would be doors in an actual pizzeria like that. But the graphics were still quite good. I'll probably put that out there. Graphics is actually really hard to decide because they're all quite good actually. FNAF 1 did look pretty good as well. Yeah, all of them are good graphics wise, honestly. I could put them all near the top, probably all like B level, the rest of these. That's probably it for graphics. Now, onto performance. So obviously straight away, security breach, the bugs, the crashing, wasn't the best performance. Followed by Ruin, I'd say, because it's like built into the same thing, so it did have a few crashes as well. But barely any bugs, just a ton of like invisible walls. Now, interestingly for me, this was just for me personally, but with FNAF 2 and FNAF 4, I did experience a lot of like crashing and having to reinstall the game to get it to launch. But then I think that may have just been because my antivirus protection didn't like them for some reason. 3, performance was pretty good with like a little bit of lag, and it did crash like once again with a similar problem as 2 and 4, where it was like trying to get me to reinstall it because it saw it as a threat. But it was pretty much better. FNAF 1 actually had problems with going off the screen loads with my mouse when trying to close the doors, which was kind of annoying. You know what? I think I'm being too harsh on it. Maybe move them down a low because they definitely weren't that bad compared to like Security Breach. Then performance. Didn't really have any performance issues with Help Wanted. I had a decent amount of bugs, more than Ruin even. With like, I think it's because it's the PC port. There was definitely a lot of bugs when they ported over. Like not being able to interact with certain buttons and stuff, not being able to reach stuff. And it didn't really tell me the keybinds either, so performance-wise not the best. But then the rest were pretty much fine. Didn't have any problems with those that I recall. I suppose you did have the annoying thing that if you wanted to like tab out or pizza sim or sister location, it would like your mouse cursor would glitch around and it wouldn't let you get off screen. So maybe you could bump them up there. The UCN in general was pretty much fine.